2025 comes to a conclusion in the stock market. What happened? And we're on to 2026. What may happen then? Let's talk about it right now. Hey, friends, Adam Hammer here, Chief Investment Officer at Hammer Financial Group in beautiful Buffalo, New York, and Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. All right, 2025 was a adventurous year in the stock market. Let me share my screen with you right now so we can follow along together and take a look at what happened in this interesting year. So first off, this is a chart of the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is 500 of the largest domestically traded companies here in the United States. And we can see we started the year here in January. If we go from left to right, we can see the market was kind of choppy. We were treading water. Then we started to have some decline here in early March. But what you may remember, since it was all over the news, was we had this big drop in April, the early part of April. That was when the Trump administration announced new trade and tariff policies known as Liberation Day. Stock market investors did not react favorably to that news, at least in the short term. In fact, we lost somewhere around 10%, more than 10% over 3 trading sessions. So there was a lot of volatility in that time period. Certainly the news headlines were about as scary and as apocalyptic as you could get. But you can see that we bottomed right in that time period in early-ish part of April. And then since that time, we've trended upward and moving from left to right over time. You can see we just continue to move higher and higher and higher. And at the time of this recording, right here at the end part of December, we're up over 16% in the S&P 500. And of course, the year's not over yet. Some of you may know from previous videos that I've made that oftentimes the end part of December, we get a what's known as a Santa Claus rally. The market tends to be in a very bullish period the last week and a half of the year. Of course, that's not a guarantee, but we could still potentially see some upward movement. As for maybe the reasons why the market moved higher this year, probably the dominating story was AI, right? All over the headlines. AI is artificial intelligence, and all of the companies that were involved with the production and the delivery of AI, the tech companies just provided all this growth in the market to move the indexes like the S&P 500 higher. And I think that's kind of the big sort of overall narrative of 2025. Now, as we move into 2026, what will happen? Well, no one knows that. As a disclaimer, no one has a crystal ball. There certainly are no guarantees. It's certainly possible we continue to see AI and technology lead the market higher into 2026. There's some provisions that were passed last year in what they called the Big Beautiful Bill, some tax rates and standard deductions that potentially could provide some economic growth, which would help companies with their profits and therefore push stock prices higher. You know, the flip side, of course, is that there have been some reports out recently that show the job market to be a little bit cloudy, maybe some storm clouds potentially in the job market. And if that were to occur and people are losing their jobs, that would almost always be bad news for the stock market, particularly if we lead into a type of recession because of weakness in the job market. So as of now, all we can do is watch, prepare, and adapt and take action when it's appropriate. With that said, if Paul and I can ever be of service to you, please let us know. We welcome your questions and inquiries. And we're on to 2026. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in another video in 2026. Have a great Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. And since it is football season here in Buffalo, of course, go Bills. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.